What if I told you that the most powerful way to change your life is to change how you treat people? Now, before you roll your eyes and think, yeah, be nice to people, I get it. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly, intentionally loved someone who didn't deserve it? Because let's be real. It's easy to love people when they're kind, supportive, and fun to be around. But what about that coworker who always tries to one-up you? The neighbor who never says hello? Or the family member who let you down? Jesus had something radical to say about this. In Matthew 22:39, he said, "Love your neighbor as yourself, not just tolerate. Not just be polite, but love." And if you're thinking, that's impossible, or why should I? Stick around, because today, I'm going to show you how this one principle can change everything, including your happiness, your relationships, and even your success in life. And trust me, you'll want to stay till the end, because there's a story coming that will completely shift the way you see the people around you. Meet James. At 29, he had what most people would call a good life. A stable job, decent apartment, and a few friends to hang out with. But deep down, James felt empty. He noticed something strange. His conversations were surface level. His friendships felt temporary. And people, well, they just seemed difficult. Maybe you felt that way too. Like no matter how many people are around, there's still a disconnect. James started believing that people were just selfish. Look out for yourself, he thought, because no one else will. But then, something happened that flipped his entire worldview. Be honest. How many times have you accidentally ignored a call because you just didn't feel like talking? James did that all the time, until one day, he got a call that changed his life. One evening, James was sitting alone in a cafe when he overheard two older women talking. One of them said something that hit him like a brick. "The greatest joy in my life hasn't been what I've achieved, but the people I've loved." That sentence stuck with him. Could it be true? Could real happiness have nothing to do with money, success, or independence? But with love, that night, James did something he hadn't done in years. He picked up his Bible and searched, what does Jesus say about love? And that's when he found Matthew 22:39. Love your neighbor as yourself. At first it felt cliche. But then he thought, what if I actually tried this? What if I stopped living like people were obstacles and started loving them instead? James decided to test it out, but not in a grand, dramatic way. Just small, intentional choices. He called his mom, not out of obligation, but to actually listen. He acknowledged the homeless man he always ignored, even buying him a meal. He reached out to a friend he had drifted from, not to win an argument, but to heal a wound. And at first, nothing really happened. No fireworks, no life-changing epiphany, until something shifted. Now, if you're thinking, cool story, bro, but what does this have to do with me? Hang tight, because what happened next might just change the way you look at people forever. A week later, James got a text from that old friend. "Hey, thanks for reaching out. I've actually been struggling a lot, and your message meant a lot." Then, his neighbor, the one he barely spoke to, invited him over for dinner, and at work, that difficult colleague, they suddenly seemed different, more open, more human. That's when it hit him. Love isn't just an action, it's a ripple effect. When you love people, you don't just change them, you change yourself. But here's the real test. What about the people who are hardest to love? If you think loving people is easy, think about the story Jesus told in Luke 10, the parable of the Good Samaritan. A man was beaten and left for dead. Two religious leaders, people who were supposed to be good, walked past and ignored him. But then a Samaritan, a man from a group that was hated, stopped and helped him. Jesus asked, who was the real neighbor? The answer was clear, the one who showed love, even when it was inconvenient, even when it was uncomfortable. And that's where most of us struggle. It's easy to love people when it's easy, but what about when it's hard? James realized that true love isn't about how we feel, it's about what we choose. Because here's the truth. You will never regret choosing love. You won't regret the kind words you spoke, the second chances you gave, the times you put aside your pride and chose peace over being right. And that's why Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. Not because it's easy, but because it's powerful. So here's my challenge to you. Who in your life needs your love right now. Maybe it's a friend you've been avoiding, a family member you haven't forgiven, a stranger you've ignored. Because the secret to a life that feels full isn't in what you get, it's in what you give. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, spread it, and most importantly, live it. If you're ready to start loving people the way Jesus calls us to, hit that like button, subscribe for more faith-based motivation, and comment below. Who's someone you can show love to this week? Because at the end of the day, love isn't just a command. It's the greatest gift we have. See you in the next one.